I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was expressing problems with thoughts that came into his mind. And he kept addressing his mind as my mind. And so I asked him, I said, do you look at the sky and call it my sky? Do you say, I don't understand why clouds are moving through my sky? Or thunderclouds are rolling in, or why it's raining in my sky? And it's funny, because really, the mind is no different than the sky. Stuff rolls in and stuff rolls out. And yet, for some reason, you take it personally. I do know people, I probably was one of them once myself, who when it was raining took it personally. Why today? You know, why does it have to rain on my parade? And that's a real issue, because it puts you so at the center of the universe that you have no objectivity at all. You're in a totally, unendingly subjective space. Everything is you. And even if you graduate from my sky to the sky, what about graduating from my mind to the mind? It's really liberating. If you can stop the habituated pattern of reacting to whatever comes into your mind, and look at it really in an objective sense and go, wow, this is an interesting thought passing through the mind. It automatically begins to release you from the need to react and grab hold of and allow the thought to begin to wreak its own havoc on your internal system. Of course, not every thought does that. Some thoughts are like, oh, it's a beautiful day. But many thoughts come in and trigger an extraordinary emotional response. And that response can color your entire day, can color your whole week, can color your whole life. We are trained in childbirth and from that moment on to begin to see things through the mind of the ego self. We actually think this idea of me, mine, I has absolute validity. And in a way it does. I mean, truly understand that we're born into this world, in a sense, to function in the world. We are part of the world of manifested form, because as manifestations we can affect it. We can help to construct the world. And that's what we all do. Those of us who are constructors, there are some of us who are destroyers. Some of us who are preservers, very much in the Hindu sense of Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, Shiva, the destroyer. We all have roles to play, and many times they're sort of multiple forms. Sometimes we're the destroyer for a day, and then we're the creator, and then we're the preserver. We all have these dynamics, and in a way, we are all created to function in that space. And in a way, we're also slaves of that space. We're in bondage to it. Last night was Passover, so I'm into those terminologies. We really do experience this sense of entrapment in our own idea of who we are and what life is. We have what I would call gradations of consciousness. And most of us cannot see beyond that gradation. So let's say you're a tiny little ant crawling around the backyard. And try to imagine that ant having one brief moment of human consciousness. What would that do to that ant? How would it possibly continue to function as an ant? I mean, it has no choice, because it's still in the body of an ant, it still digs holes, it still communicates with other ants, it still goes out and brings food in, it allows the queen to create more ants. It does all of the stuff it's meant to do, but imagine, wow, this vast awareness that lets it know that its ant consciousness is only a tiny speck of a vast, much bigger consciousness. Even if it only has that awareness for 10 seconds, it will change everything. They may get psychotic. They say, what? It doesn't understand anything anymore. How does it function? What does it do? Nothing makes sense. Nothing is what you thought it was. And now imagine, any other life form having that same experience, and it completely alters the nature of awareness. So here we are as human beings, and most of us walk around with a very limited consciousness. It starts out fairly vast. A child is born into this world with no definition between itself and separation of itself from others. And then it starts to feel separation, division. It feels its own isolation, its own individual, unique self. And it feels all of that and begins to wall itself off from the world, because the world is very present. There's a lot of information coming through. It's very hard to absorb and be present with all of the information available. And so we become this tiny little fragment of consciousness that is able to function in the world, in the society that we find ourselves in the culture that we're in. And we function, some of us, very well. Some of us are happy little entities. We go through life enjoying, skateboarding, surfing, going to movies, watching TV, falling in love, all of the things that we do. And it's all cool, it's great. And you buy into it with this understanding, you sort of vaguely intuit, but you know it's true, that it's only short-lived. Whatever it is you've got is only going to be for a while, and then it's all going to get taken away. And you let that piece of information in on occasion. It can come in very early when you're a little child, if you suddenly step on a grasshopper and what was that? Where did the grasshopper go? The death, the idea of impermanence, the idea of life being temporary is very assertive at some points when you're alive, but it doesn't stay that way. We work very hard to forget impermanence. And we buy into this very strange mythology that somehow everything we're doing is meaningful and has longevity, that has permanence, that we're building something that is really meaningful and important, and then, boop, not there anymore. Not there. Gone. Life ends very quickly, or slowly. But the idea of death, when it starts to insert itself into the happy little life that you have, begins to create an existential rift. What do I do? What do I do with this fact that this isn't permanent? Well, mostly what you do is you put that aside. Not now. Not now. Don't want to deal with that now. And you go about your life. You have your little happy little life. But it keeps coming back at you, and you keep walling it off, and it gets harder and harder to do. How do I wall off this idea that I'm temporary? How do I wall off this idea that not only am I temporary, but I'm going to fall apart? How do you wall off the idea that there's this thing called illness and pain and struggle, the emotional pain, the physical pain? All of that stuff starts to just fill your life, and you have to do something to either engage it or disengage from it. And that's your choice. It's really your reaction to the reality of the world. How do you live this life? every so often, like that little ant, something can happen where you go and you get what's called a moment or a glimpse of eternity. It can happen just walking down the street. It can happen with a drug. It can happen in a moment of great suffering. It can happen at any time. And there you are. And then back into this. Now what? Just like that ant, you have a lot of choices. One is just get back to work. Do what you do. Another is to feel like you're totally crazy. Why am I working so hard? Why am I trying to build something when it's all going to fall away anyway? What's my purpose here? What am I about? Why am I here? All of that stuff can start to really penetrate the system, and you go through this incredible upheaval of being, and it can become very profound. It can become really disturbing, and really, how do I live my life? And that's a really good question. And so then you begin to look for what we can call operating manuals. What are the instructions for how to live this life? And now you take them much more seriously than you ever did before. You may have had a Sunday school sort of education, Adam and Eve, and the Bible and Moses and then Christ and all of the New Testament. You have all of these pieces of information trying to give you direction so you can try to buy into all of that. But I have to say, one of the extraordinary things about the internal infinite knowing that comes is that no matter what you come to in your physical material life, it will never be satisfied by any answers. Because none of the answers will be enough. None of the answers touch the vastness of true expanded consciousness. Once you have that big a vision, everything in life will start to look like just another story. Just a story. And which story do you believe? I told my grandchildren and my little nieces and nephews yesterday the story of Passover. And it's like history, Pharaoh, Hebrew slaves, and then suddenly it becomes parting of the Red Sea, plagues. I mean, it goes on, and you're going from some kind of, okay, that is history, into what is he talking about? And who separates the sea? You touch the water and it goes like that. And then you hear that we talk about this every year for thousands of years to keep the story alive. What's he talking about? And there are so many other stories, part of the mythologies of our life. That the great teachers, that Christ was able to heal, to raise the dead. Nobody else has done that. Christ could walk on water. All of these extraordinary things come back from the dead. We hear one story after another, and we're told if you believe hard enough in these stories, you will have a redemptive life. You will have a life that will finally add up to something. You will either end up in heaven or hell or somewhere in between. All of these stories, and when you have this extraordinary, you realize none of that's true. None of it's true. You don't know what's true, but none of that is true. And you start to feel adrift in life. Who am I? What am I? What is this? What's going on here? And you have two choices in that questioning. One is to create a new story, and the other is to confront the mystery. The absolute, unending, unfolding mystery of being. And something remarkable happens when you confront the mystery. It takes over. It suddenly has this power to eradicate the storytelling part of your being, which tells not only stories about great myths in the past, but the story about the great myth of you, of your own life, of your own personal life. And you realize it's no different than any of the other stories. It's just a story you told yourself that's added up into something. It's a history that you know in your mind happened, but when you feel the great mystery, you're not even sure that you happened. You actually are not even sure that there's a past tense. And you're pretty sure there's no future tense. There is only present tense. The mystery is, how is that possible? How could it be that there is only this moment, period, absolute, total oneness of this moment? It cannot be explained, certainly not by your mind, certainly not by anything you're going to read in any of the texts. It'll talk about it. Your mind might be able to say, oh, I get it, but you can't get it because it eradicates the getting. It eradicates the you that's going to understand it. It just all starts to fall away. And if you have the consciousness and you have the will and you have the desire, you will actually let all of that stuff fall away, and there won't be anything left to assemble it back into anything that makes sense, and you will live in a state of senselessness that is completely wondrous, completely full of amazement and a kind of knowing and a kind of joy that is indescribable. The burden of you, the burden of history, the burden of knowing, the burden of having the answers, the burden of being something or someone that needs to be sustained disappears. And what's left is just this. And what is this? Who knows? But what is happening in this that you need to pay attention to? In a way, everything. This is it. This is it. And if it is not functioning in the way you want it to, if it's not delivering what you want it to, the part of you that is not getting what it wants is this part that's still stuck in being. It's still stuck. It still thinks it's here. If you have a reactive element in you that said it shouldn't be that way, it should have been a different way, I wish I had, it did. That wishing I reinforcement is exactly what has to be washed away. It is a way of you seeing what's still to be worked on. And all you have to do is pay attention to that stuff. So when the stuff comes up and goes, oh, not like that, I don't want it that way, don't run from it. Do not run from those ideas. Don't run from your doubt. Don't run from your fear. Don't run from your discomfort. Enter it. Say yes. And as you sit in it, because you say yes to it, it begins to, it's like an acid, it just begins to dissolve and break up and float away into the ether, and you start to become free of all these little corners of yourself that are fighting life. They all get washed out. And what comes back to you is what has always been there, which is, well, this is all story. I can only tell it to you as myth. I'll tell it to you as my myth. But what comes back is this amazing state of grace. But I can't tell you that in a way that makes you believe it, or nor should you believe it. The only thing you should do is find your way to knowing it yourself. Hearing it from me is absolutely a waste of time, other than the fact that it may motivate you to sit in your stuff, to sit in your not knowing, to sit in your discomfort, to sit in your joy, to sit in whatever it is that's present tense, and be there and watch what unfolds. And the more you can just open, let go, surrender, all of these key ideas from Rudy, help to surrender, the more you will discover who you are. And it's an extraordinary unfolding of discovery. It's not like, oh, I get it. Like I said before, there's no one to get it. There is no one to get it. There is only the you that is it. That's all there is. It. This. And it's not an it that is like a noun or a pronoun. It is a verb. It is this. This. With nothing reacting, it's just being. It's presence. It's unfolding constantly. I will tell you, the ego is terrified of that. Terrified. The ego wants permanence, security, knowledge, holding on. Anything it can hold on to. And all I can tell you is, get over that. You cannot hold on. You can only let go. And only when you let go will you be free. And you're only free from you. You're not free from what is. You are what is. And what is it? I can only throw back the word I've thrown out 25 times, the mystery. You are the mystery. And anything you think you know is a limitation. It's a false hope. It's a toothpick floating in the ocean. You're holding on to that for dear life, but it's a toothpick. Let it go. Let it go. There is no you to hold on to anything, nor any need to hold on. You are completely and absolutely free. And the part of you that's not free, I will tell you right now, your biology will fight you. Your biology will fight you. And it's not really fighting you, it's just when you let go, there's going to be a disintegration, not just of mind and identity, but there's a disintegration of the materialization that you believe yourself to be. And when it starts to fall apart, it has pain in it. And you're not going to like it. The end of your life is going to be the biggest work of your life. Letting it go, letting it go, letting it go. Trusting something bigger, because it really reinforces the I. The pain of life reinforces I. And it's only by finding a muscle inside that goes, that just surrenders, that you get free. Really powerful. There's a lot of ways to leave the world. Everyone is its own story, and every one of us is going to find our story, and we're going to, when it's happening, it's kind of amazing. We don't know if we're going to, fire, ice, water, disease, whatever it is that's going to come and get us will be our particular story, and we're going to have to deal with that in some phenomenally evolved way, or not. But when it comes, what you want more than anything is the training of being. The ability to go, yes, yes. Just say yes to what is. Just say yes to what is. It's a life's work. It's a life's work to get to that point where you just say yes. But that's the work. I talked a while back about what happened to me in December, where I was having chest pains and ended up in a hospital, and the doctor said to me, he said, you were seconds away from dying. My artery was 99.99% closed. And it was like just a piece of information. I went, huh, really? And then my other doctor, the general practitioner, said, you probably would have died in your sleep that night. I went, poof, really? And then I thought, wow, okay. So Blanche is going to have to send out all these emails to all these people saying, we're so sorry to tell you that Bruce passed away last night. And I thought, is that what it is? I kind of imagined that it would be celebratory and everybody would be coming over and I'd saying goodbye to everybody and having these wonderful moments and having some kind of huge kind of, departure. And I realized, no, it's not like that. I mean, you may get that, but more than likely you're going to get, boop, gone, finished. Who were you? What was that? What was that? And it's really fascinating. I hated the idea that I was going to end up as an email. And yet, that is mostly what we're going to be. And if you can kind of get that idea now, it starts to infect how you live your life. Because that's all we are. There will be a few people who will cry. A few people say, oh, I should have come to class. There will be people who go through their, I don't know what they're going to go through, But it's just going to be something, and it will fade away fairly quickly. And a few people, poor Blanche would have to live, dealing with the absence of something and someone very much in her life. But most of us, Sunday mornings would be different. And that's a really interesting awareness of how insignificant really we are on some level, and how quickly and easily, boom, you don't know. You don't know. It's random, it's whatever it is. And what you don't want is to arrive at that moment totally unprepared, having spent an entire life in absolute distraction, trying to build a career, build a thing, have this, have that, completely oblivious to the fact that it never was meant to be. It was never meant to be held on to. Ever. It was always impermanent. It was always just for now, just for the ride. Enjoy the ride. If you can get that into your head, if you can really discover what's being said here, you will have wonderful days every day. Wonderful days. Because that's all you got. You got this moment. That's the only given. And the next moment, an email. Who wants that? You want to have a life that is completely full, and if you're not living that life, what can you do about it? It doesn't mean divorcing the person you're with and going off to the Caribbean or whatever your mind and dream tells you. It's, how do I end up here? How do I end up here? Most people are anywhere but where they are. They're not here. They're lost in their, whatever it is you're lost in. That little ant walking around, building and doing his stuff. This is here. This is here. It changes everything. Find here. Find the here that you're in. It's not hiding from you. You are hiding from it. It's crazy. Why do you hide from the very thing that's in front of you? And that's the hardest thing for me as a teacher to share with you, because everyone's saying, I'm looking so hard, I want to find it, I want it. You're looking at it. This is it. It's nothing else. It's not other than this. People say, where's God? You're touching it, you're sitting in it, you're in it, you are it. You are that very thing. Why is this so hard to come up with? Why are you making such a drama out of it? I'm not saying just you, because I did that for years, and then suddenly, click, it was over. I don't know why it was over. Suddenly the whole pursuit of it was gone, and they opened up the veil and they said, "This, you're looking at it." And it was there all the time. That's the lesson. It's there all the time. Where is your consciousness? Is your consciousness in, why didn't I get that raise? Why didn't they talk to me? Why didn't I get this today? Is that what your consciousness is every day? Why was my life such a miserable life? Why didn't I have all that stuff people get into? That is not it. It's not it. You can choose that path if you want it. You can absolutely choose any path you want. But all I can tell you is slow down. I gave a class 2 weeks ago. If you haven't listened to it, it's worth listening to. It's got 3 primary instructions. Stop, sit, stay. That's the entire class. Stop, which just by itself very few people do. Sit, like a dog. Sit. Stay. Don't sit for a second and go, oh. Stay. Learn to just stay. When you stop, when you sit, when you stay, this will reveal itself. Or it can. It has an opportunity to reveal itself. It will not reveal itself to you if you're in constant motion. And if you have an animal mind that is untrained, that is just running around doing its thing. I mean, I took a walk this morning, and I'm watching all these guys walking their dogs. Every one of them, every dog had its own mind. Almost every one of these guys was being walked by their dog. It was really interesting. One guy had control. Nobody else had control. Most of us have no control over our animal mind. And some of us are dealing with reptilian mind, and you cannot control reptilian mind. You can't. But you can control animal mind, and if you haven't figured out how to do it, that's your job. It's your work. Get control of this thing. Stop. Sit. Stay. All I'm trying to do is alert you to a level of consciousness that is other than what most of us experience day to day. That level of consciousness is not bounded by our ego-minded sense of self. It is totally free of that. And every one of us is holding ourselves in check in opposition to that consciousness for whatever reason. And the whole idea of meditation and spiritual practice is to gradually, one little bit at a time, let go of all those holding patterns, all of those things that lock you into your story, into your suffering, into your unhappiness, into your drama. Let it go, and boom. Here you are. Where are you? Where you've always been. Without the noise of your mind, without your drama, without your misery. Just that stuff's gone. And then bits of it will come back, and you'll just go, oh, okay, I know that stuff. And you'll just go, blow it away. Let it go. You may have to scrub it, you may have to file it away. Literally, file it down. But you will know the stuff in you that needs to be worked on, and you will get rid of it. And you will become freer and freer and freer and freer and freer. That's the journey. So, if you look up at the sky and call it the sky, transfer that idea into looking at the mind and calling it the mind. Get rid of me. Get rid of my. Get rid of mine. They come into play when they need to, but often they come into play when they don't need to, and you have a lot of history with that. And if you're calling it my body, my mind, my anything, you're wrong. It's just a way of functioning. It's the mind, the body, the personality. Separate yourself, third person. Step back from the I idea, and you will start to become aware of the objective totality that you are. It's the best ride there is. And there's none of you would be in this room if you weren't somehow drawn to that. You wouldn't be here. So I always look at the people who arrive here as people ready to hear the message. But I also look at people who arrive here who still don't get it. Who still aren't hearing it. You know, you feel good, you create an identity that goes to class on Sunday morning. You go, oh, I'm a person who seeks, and I'm a yogi, and I'm a meditator, and I go to class, and I do all this stuff. That's bullshit. That just holds you locked into another identity. Who are you? I'm a meditator. No, you're not. You're what is. You are what is. Meditator is just a tiny little speck of that. Get rid of all that shit. Get rid of it. Just let it go. And if you're not letting it go and you keep coming here, it's painful for me, because how many times can I rip it out of you and have you just suck it back in again? It's like, what am I doing? But I will do it, because Rudy taught me patience. He taught me there's patience. It has to go with the territory, because it's very hard for people to do what we're talking about. I totally get it. I get how hard it is. I know how long it took me. So all I can say is stay in the game, keep working this thing, and I will stay here too. And I will keep telling you the same thing over and over and over in any form I can find to tell you that might get in from the back door so you'll hear it. But again, the only thing I'm telling you is you're looking at it and you are it. And everything you've ever wanted is in front of you. Everything you ever dreamt of is what you already are. And it's not down the road, it's not in the future, it's not in the past, it's right here. You're it. That's all I can tell you. Done. And if you're not getting the message, something in you is going, oh well, but, I don't know, I'm not, maybe, whatever that is, that's your problem. Get rid of it. Okay? Anyway, I love you guys. I really, really do. I mean, you can't imagine how much I love you guys. And I really wish you all the journey into awakening, because, it's the only thing that awaits us. That little ant is actually going to find out one day that it really was the thing it saw. And so will you. Any questions?
This talk just reminded me of hearing Baba Muktananda say, just remember that God dwells within you as you.
Right. And
see God in each other.
Well, that's a great teaching. And really, it represents the truth. The only problem with that is that it keeps separating you from God.
I am God.
Okay.
You're talking about, you said several things that we need to move towards awakening, and will was one of them. And I also, read about how you have to get rid of the seeker. you know, and there's this will, and then there's this letting go and letting be. And
You can't get rid of the seeker, but it will fall away. The seeker falls away. When this thing goes like that, and it resides,
yeah.
there's nobody seeking anymore. It's just gone. It's gone. And what I talked about in the past, and it's been a big lesson for me, is what remains is the discoverer, but no, not the seeker. The discoverer is constant. The seeker is not.
What about the balance between will,
The-
your will, and
Sure.
the letting go?
Sure. Part of the evolution of the spiritual awareness, awakening, is a commitment to discovering it, a commitment to arriving at that space. Ultimately, it will not get you there, I will tell you that. You wanting it has one essential fallacy, and that is that in the end, you can't have it because you disappear. But the wanting it, the will of the seeker, is essential to make this happen. And my own awakening really took place after I said I give up. It's not happening. 45 years of trying and nothing happened. I'm just doing the wrong thing. I don't know what it is. I give up. I give up was the crucial statement. I really did give up. And then a week later, 2 weeks later, it went pop. But I've said this before, you can't pretend to say I give up thinking you're going to get something. It doesn't work like that. You know, it just doesn't. Anybody else?
I'm going to try to explain what I'm thinking and see if it comes out right. Accepting what is seems to negate the desire to change or improve myself. Because, you know, if you accept what is, then it seems to mean the way you are is fine. But it isn't always.
Right. Let me put it in my own terms, because you've been watching this happen. By accepting what is, I discovered I was overweight. I discovered that I had a heart issue. I accepted all of that, and the next thing that happened is I became a walker. I walk. You walk with me. I walk all the time. My acceptance of the problem found a new solution, and there's no I in it. It just said walk. And so I do the walking. It tells me eat differently. So I eat differently. It's not an I accepting the negative or the limitation. It's just an I going, this is what is, and this is what the what isness of it took over, and it made me walk. It causes me to eat differently. It changes everything. It changes it, and it's no longer about me. It's really kind of about itself. It wants to be healthy. It wants to be alive. It wants to be clear-headed. It wants to be loving. It wants to be part of life. It's what is healthy. What the problem for most of us is that the what is slothful and lazy and inert and all of these issues that unless you accept that that's what it is, you're never going to do anything about changing it. It's like saying, I am slothful. It's like alcoholics have to say, I am an alcoholic. It's the only way they can begin to change being an alcoholic. They accept that they are that, and then they realize they're powerless to do anything about it. I'm quoting AA, and then they ask for help. That's the same process. You accept what you are because that's the only way to begin to change. And then you say, please help me because I don't know what to do about this. And then the next thing you know, you're walking and eating differently. And it takes over. And it's like, yes. And it's so wonderful. This morning it was so hard because I had the grandchildren here who I am addicted to and love beyond anything. And I also knew it's the only time of the day I'm going to have to walk. So I didn't know what to do. And this thing just said, walk. You're not going to lose your grandchildren. They're not going to disappear in this moment. It just said, walk. And I walked out the door with them in my heart and had the most beautiful walk. And the whole of I mean, Northridge, or whatever we call this place now, Sherwood Forest, this whole place opened up to me, and it was like the love that I had for my grandchildren just expanded into the vastness of every tree and every flower on the street. And so there's a directive that comes through you, and if you don't resist it and react to it and think there's a you doing it, it knows what to do. It's so intelligent. And you just follow it out. It's an unbelievable gift. Unbelievable. And if you start to fight it, you'll know it. You'll feel it inside. And that's the part that needs to get worked on. If I started to say, oh, I really want to be with my grandchildren, I would have felt something inside me going, is that the right choice? Really? Really? I would have heard that voice. I know that voice because I started to hear it. And so I gave them both big hugs and kisses, and I walked out the door. That's how we're going to have to leave. We have to leave the world that way. At some point, you leave the thing you most love and walk out the door. And you've got to learn how to do that. And the embrace of the largeness outside is so massive that even the thing you just left is nothing compared to the vastness of what awaits. So it's a lesson, it's practice. And I've realized, as I say, I'm always discovering these are lessons for me that come all day long. And they're so beautiful, And also, a thing I keep wanting to say, so many people I know tell me they want to leave a relationship or they want to leave a job, they hate the relationship, they hate all these things. And I go, whoa, you only want to leave the thing you're at peace with. You only want to leave the thing you love. You don't want to leave stuff angry because you're only going to reattract that same thing. If you hate something, you're going to get it back because one way or another, you got to work that out. You got to work this stuff through the system. So you leave this woman, you get another woman, you'll be doing the same drama 2 months later or 2 years later. You can't buy yourself into something else. You have to deal with the thing that is. And if you deal with the thing that is, you will free yourself of it. And if you don't deal with the thing that is, it will come back. And it will keep coming back, probably lifetime after lifetime, if that's the mythology we buy into. And then you'll deal with it down the road. Do it now. Do it now.
Do you believe in death?
In death? Yeah.
Do you think that, my sense is we just go to another dimension.
That's your sense.
Okay, but you don't believe that.
I don't know.
That's my sense.
Yeah, no, it's a great sense. I think so too. But I don't know. Truth to me is now. And everything I projected beyond that. I have a very strong sense of eternal infinite being. Very strong. I believe that's in the end what it is. But it's a belief. I don't know. I will find out just like you will. And we'll all go look at it and go, wow, or we'll all go, done. I don't know. We'll find out. But if you want absolute assurance that that's what's coming, there are teachers out there who will give it to you. And you should go. Go to those teachers. Anyone else?
Chris, I recently broke my shoulder, and I felt it was my fault. I did something that I felt was stupid, and I'm always very careful. And in my life, I thought, well, I'm growing, and I'm trying to let go, and blah blah blah, all that drama. And then this happened, and the doctor said, well, can I walk and continue my exercise? No. Can I do my diet? No. Can I go to work? No. What can I do? Heal. It's made me so angry, and I've had to deal with that, not being able to move forward, and what I thought was moving forward. So how do you deal with that?
Well,
it's just pain, that's all it was. It's
boy.
absolute pain.
Well, stop, sit, stay.
Yeah,
Because,
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what life brings us to. I've got people in my life who are getting old, and we're dealing with their refusal to buy into that stuff, but they're going to have to. Life will make you stop, sit, stay, one way or the other, and then the lesson is, what do you do then? You're right there now. Take it in. Sit with it. Watch what happens. Watch what's fighting it. Watch what's so angry. It's going to hit everybody. Everybody ultimately is brought to their knees by the reality of their life. And only if you can go, thy will be done, really, or open to it, and go, enter that space where there is no motion, where there is no movement, where there is no future, there is no past. Enter that space and watch what's there. See what's at the center of you, that kingdom of heaven within, if you want to call it that. This is an opportunity to go to that space. This is life saying, stop, sit, stay. Not giving you a choice. And all of your identity factors are starting to get crazed by it. How can I not go to work? How can I not walk? That's what happens. If you're prepared for that inside, you will find that to be what your doctor called healing. And it will heal you. And then, more than likely, you'll be walking again, and you'll be working again, and you'll be having a life again, but you'll have learned a great lesson. That in the end, we all have to find that space, because that's all there is. That's the only salvation, really. It's liberation. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
That it? Okay. Be back in a month. Thank you guys for showing up. It's always a pleasure. And love you. Really appreciate you being here.